I wanted to say something about the Kavanaugh, the charges against Kavanaugh that he raped girls in high school when he was in high school. You know, Kavanaugh will probably be confirmed, but it does remind me of the Anita Hill situation. Do you remember that? And again, I bring it up because for those of us who remember some of the shock of the Anita Hill hearings, the one thing I remember most about Anita Hill with the camera on her was the frightened look that she had on her face. She was very anxious. She was very tense. She was up against 1 million ravenous white men. And here she was, a black woman, charging a black man, which in the community you're just not supposed to do. Well, you weren't then anyway. I'm sure it's changed. But any dirty laundry within the community was supposed to stay within the community. Why? Are you fucking kidding me? Giving the history of what happened to black men in this country at the hands of white men? It was very much an article of faith in the black community. Don't ask me how I know. I know, trust me. It was very much an article of faith that an accusation like this, like the one that Anita Hill brought out, regarding the sexual aggression of a black man, that kind of shit was to stay in the community. Let the preachers handle it. Let somebody else, but don't let those white folk know about it, because those fuckers will come after whoever it happens to be and lynch him. There's a whole history behind it. So there was Anita Hill. A lot of black women condemned her too. I remember. There was Anita Hill trying to present testimony that said this guy should not be on the Supreme Court. And here's the reason why. And the white men to whom she was testifying did nothing but intimidate her. And black folk know about that. I talk about it. I don't know about it. I can talk about it, but I don't know about it. And if you're white, neither do you. That's what a lot of us white, that's a trap a lot of us whites fall into. Well, why didn't she just speak up, whoever she is and whoever the situation is? Because there's a 350-year history here, even before this country was a country, before it was the United States. A 350-year history that said, if anything, keep the fuck quiet about a black man and his sexuality, because it will be twisted around and put a rope around his neck. And that's what Anita Hill was facing. And I remember thinking at the time how weird it was to me as an American who grew up in a racist country. I think in early 90s I was starting to deal with that racism. But how weird it was to me to see a black man in front of a bunch of white men who are going to pass judgment on him, being accused by a black woman of sexual misconduct, and those white men sitting there tossing softball questions at him and a high-speed hardball at her. I couldn't fucking believe it. I mean, I guess there's a part of me that was surprised that he was a black man, that in a different time and place, here in the United States, different time, those white men sitting up there would have said, really? Lynch the fucker. So that wasn't happening. But like a lot of people who watched that testimony or those hearings, and I seem to remember watching a lot of it, I knew as best as I could know from seeing it on television. I knew that she was telling the truth, and he was a lying dog motherfucker who, if he got on the Supreme Court, it would be an absolute violation of what the Supreme Court was supposed to be about. But the Negro seat on the Supreme Court was empty. Thurgood Marshall had retired. Well, all those white senators, Democrats and Republicans, had a chance, they thought, to redeem their own racism. Now, they had to do it at the expense of a black woman, but fuck it. By ignoring what Anita Hill was saying, they could solidify their redemption. Well, yeah, he probably did it, but you know, I'm white, he's black, so I'm going to step up and try to negate all those lynchings by voting for him. What a bunch of horse shit. And here we are again. Only in this situation, apparently, everybody's white.